I seem to remember sort of early in your time coming to the club, we talked about the team having to be a bit more streetwise, and some would call it game management. I thought at Burton it was a great example of it. Some of your players were cheesy off the fans around us, and I thought, well, you're doing your job if you're doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I think in that aspect we did really well, especially the last 9 minutes when you see the 9-minute board go up. And I thought last Bugsy, Ben House, everybody really to a man did that really, really well. So I was really pleased with that. Like you say, game management. I call it being a bit ruthless sometimes, but I thought they did well at that.
And I think we also saw, before your time as well, how much of a loss two players have been in Rico Hackett and then Ben House. And as well as Freddie did when he was on, you could just see the experience of Ben knocking into defenders as the ball's coming through, those sorts of little things that experience gives you. Yeah,
I think that's, like you said, that's experience of playing at this level and being in those situations as an older player, if you like, not much older. But I think when he came on, you saw the quality he brings and what we've missed. And I thought it was a really tough game to come into. I think you needed experienced players to come into that game. But I thought when he came on, he did really well, considering he was up top on his own, if you like, and having to work really hard.
And mentality of the players, you must be very pleased with the way they were, because let's not forget, for a long period of that game, you were down to 10 men. And, I was reading some of the articles written, and people were saying, who weren't like us, who are always going to be biased towards Lincoln City, that it didn't look like 10 men on the pitch.
No, I thought they did really well. We talked about getting to half time, and then when we got in at half time, we talked about making sure that we managed the moments of the game. So we knew it would be long spells without the ball, but also how do we use our strength of transition to try and cause Burton some problems, and then when we do get them there in there, if you like, third, how do we stay in there a bit longer? But I thought they managed the game really well, and played really well. So I'm really pleased with the performance on that day.
Another clean sheet, and I think it's just one conceded now in 4 games.
Yeah, they've done well. And the back line, the back three, everybody to a man so far. The way that we've played, we've still tried to be aggressive, but in that aspect of not conceding, I think it's really positive.
And then we should also mention Adam in terms of the defensive performances as well, because he really has stood out. And I imagine with quite a young squad that you have, his experience, he's the oldest player, I think, at 29. It's very important around the place.
Yeah, he's great. He's great around the lads. He's a calming influence. He's a great professional, and he's been a great leader on the pitch. And like you say, he's always puts himself in good positions. We work on, his positioning when we're defending. He's really clever at that, and we work on that. And Chris Cohen and Tom Shaw are working on those things with him every day as well. So not only we got our team structure with all the players around us, even Jacko, we're trying to improve all the individuals every day when we're working with them. So I think we've really seen Jacko take on that leadership role really well at the back there, especially missing the skipper for a few games as well. So yeah, really pleasing with all the defenders, and really strong, sort of competitive for places in that sense.
And when you look last Saturday at the players who didn't even make the match squad, we talked about it, I know, before the game as well, but it's a sign of a much stronger position than perhaps when we talked to you before the first game of the year at Blackpool.
Yeah, completely different, I think. Completely different for me. It's a bigger test. But football changes quickly. We know that. One thing to add is, Bugsy came on the pitch, Jack Burrows came on the pitch at Burton, because we had no more changes. He's actually suffered an ankle injury, so he's going to be out up to 4 weeks, we think. So, football changes really quickly. We need to keep bodies fit. We need to keep everybody competing for places. And we need to keep churning out performances like we did with the mentality, like you say, to go and get wins.
And any reaction from Ben? It felt like maybe you played maybe more minutes than you originally planned with the way the match evolved.
Yeah, it probably turned out more minutes than we wanted to, but it was a key moment in the game that we needed to make the change and get him on. Like you say, probably for his experience more than anything. So it's a bit longer than we wanted to play, and the pitch was heavy. The conditions were really heavy on the day, so we've had to manage him this week, and I think that's one of the things we've got to get right to manage him, so we don't lose him for the long term. So he's trained okay this week as well, so hopefully we get through that. But we need to be careful with Ben in terms of not overloading him too early with minutes. We all want him back, we all want him fit, but again, we've got Freddie, we've got Joe, and other strikers. Even Rico could play out there, and Danny Mandrew, so we're good in those positions for places, so we don't need to rush that one.
Been a while since a home win. Did he do with it on Saturday?
Yeah, I think so, but you only need to look at Fleetwood's form. Last couple of games, beating Bristol Tuesday night, winning 3-0 at Port Vale, against Port Vale, should I say. So I know Charlie Adams doing really well. I know him from 21 days. So Yeah, they've turned a little bit of a corner, I think, and it seems like everyone seems to hit form when they come to the LNR. But if we perform right and we're competitive and we go after them, then hopefully we can exploit their weaknesses as well.
Hey, those 2 wins on a bounce for Fleetwood. Is it a difficult time maybe to play them?
I don't think there's any good time. I think everybody's got their own style in this league, like I keep saying. I think if we want to play teams, then I think we've just got to look after our job, if you like, and perform well. And I think I've said it to the lads, and the lads believe that if we play well on our day, I think we can beat anybody, especially at our home ground. We're a tough team to come against. So I think it's mostly looking after our performances, not worrying about what the teams are doing at the moment.
And on your own performances, 4 games unbeaten now, isn't it? That win, obviously, last week. And how important is it that you can build on and carry on that?
Yeah, every game has a different story, as I say. So it's not easy. It's not easy to play any team in this league, so it's really important that we keep churning out good performances. Like I said, 4 weeks ago, if we keep performing well, then the results will come. And I think that our structure without the ball has been really good, and then it's just creating more chances to score more goals. I think we need to keep going with, but we're improving all the time in that, and hopefully we can score some goals at the weekend and get a result.
We've just spoken to Conor McGrandles. What have you made of him since he's come back in?
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's a really good technical footballer, a really good experienced player again that came, I thought, into the game against Burton and did really, really well when he came into that in middle of midfield. Helped us manage the game, if you like. So he brings a level of experience that we all knew and we all wanted in the squad. But I've been really impressed the way he trains, how professional he is, the way he goes about his work. He's a good asset to the club, and I'm looking forward to working with him for a bit longer.
You talked about wanting experience throughout the window. Is that the last piece of the puzzle in a way for this season?
Yeah, we're happy for where we are. More than anything, we've just got to try and keep bodies fit. But I'm really happy with how the window went, and we got our first choice targets, even though Conor took a little bit longer. We knew we always wanted Conor from the start. It just took us a bit longer to get there really than Joe.
And finally on fitness, obviously we know Tyler Walker's out for the whole season. Is there any sort of update on Lewis Monsford's progress?
Yeah, he's progressing nicely but slowly. I think we know that's a big injury. We're not sure what his future if this season looks like. Is he going to get back on the pitch? We don't know yet. It's too early to tell with Lewis Monsford. But he's a great character. He's out there every day trying to build back and trying to get back. But he's still quite a way off, like Tyler, at the moment.